Have you ever wondered about the strength of faith and the power of obedience in our lives? Let's turn our attention to the book of Joshua, a riveting narrative centered around the character of Joshua, a man whose life was a testament to these very principles. Joshua's journey commences at a pivotal point in history, in the wake of the great prophet Moses' death. Suddenly, the mantle of leadership falls upon his shoulders, a daunting task to lead a nation of people. Yet, Joshua embraces this role with courage and determination, driven by an unwavering faith in God. His journey is not one of smooth sailing. He faces formidable adversaries, embarks on relentless conquests, and navigates the complex task of dividing the promised land among the tribes of Israel. Throughout all this, Joshua remains steadfast, his faith serving as his guiding compass. Among the multitude of characters in this narrative, we meet Caleb, another paragon of faith and determination. Despite the giants that inhabit his inheritance, Caleb stands firm in his faith, an inspiring reminder that our giants are never too big for God. As we delve deeper into Joshua's journey, we encounter his poignant farewell address, a stirring call to faithfulness that rings true to this day. Joshua's words remind us that obedience to God's commandments is not a burdensome obligation, but a path to a fulfilling life. As his life draws to a close, the legacy Joshua leaves behind is one of unwavering faith and steadfast obedience. His journey serves as a beacon of inspiration for all of us, encouraging us to persevere through our trials and hold fast to our faith. As we dive into this tale of faith, let's remember that our journeys may not be so different from Joshua's. We too face our battles, confront our giants, and navigate through life's complexities. Yet, like Joshua, we can find strength in our faith, power in our obedience, and comfort in the knowledge that God is ever faithful. Imagine leading an army into battle, only to have the sun stand still in the sky. This isn't a Hollywood blockbuster plot, but one of the most dramatic moments in the book of Joshua. Chapter 10 takes us to the heart of a fierce battle, with Joshua leading the Israelites against the mighty Amorite kings. But this isn't just a tale of military strategy and courage. It's a story of faith, of a leader who trusts in divine intervention, even in the face of overwhelming odds. As Joshua and his army fight the Amorites, the sun, as if heeding a divine command, stands still in the sky. The daylight is prolonged, giving the Israelites the advantage they need to secure victory. Now, some might dismiss this as mere allegory, a metaphor for the Israelites' triumph. But if we dig deeper, we find profound lessons that resonate even today. Joshua's faith didn't waver, even when the situation seemed impossible. He trusted in God, and his faith was rewarded with a miracle. This event teaches us about the power of unwavering faith and the potency of prayer. It's a reminder that when we place our trust in the divine, extraordinary things can happen. It's a testament to the power of belief and the might of divine intervention. The battle of the Amorite kings wasn't just a physical confrontation, it was a spiritual showdown. It was about more than territories and kings. It was about faith and divine providence. Joshua's faith, his trust in God, was his most potent weapon, turning the tide of battle and leading the Israelites to victory. This story also underscores the importance of leadership. Joshua wasn't just a military leader. He was a spiritual guide, leading his people not just through physical battles, but through their spiritual journey. His faith and courage inspired his people, strengthening their resolve and their faith in God. In the face of the impossible, Joshua's faith didn't waver. What about yours? Facing formidable opposition, would you press on or turn back? As we delve into Joshua's continued conquest of Canaan, we're met with a leader who exemplifies unwavering determination. Despite the towering walls of Jericho and the formidable coalition of Canaanite kings, Joshua presses on. His resolve remains unbroken, his faith in God's promises unshaken. From chapter 11, we find Joshua, not alone, but leading a people determined to conquer and settle in the land God had promised them. Their journey is not an easy one. They face enemy after enemy, city after city, yet they continue. Why? Because they trust in their leader, Joshua. And Joshua, in turn, trusts in God. The Israelites' faith is tested time and again. Yet, with Joshua at the helm, they press on. They face adversity head-on, refusing to back down. Their persistence pays off. One by one, cities fall, kings are defeated. The conquest continues. But what can we learn from Joshua's perseverance? What can we take away from the Israelites' determination? When we face our own battles, our own towering walls, do we have the courage to press on? Do we have the faith to trust in God's promises? Joshua's story teaches us that perseverance in the face of adversity is not just about physical strength or strategic prowess. It's about faith. It's about trusting in God's promises, even when the odds seem stacked against us. It's about standing firm, pressing on, and refusing to be swayed by the challenges that stand in our way. So, as we continue our journey through the book of Joshua, let's remember the lessons of perseverance and faith. Let's remember that, like Joshua, we too can face our battles head-on, trusting in God's promises. And let's remember that, despite the odds, we too can press on. Despite the odds, Joshua pressed on. What obstacles are you willing to overcome? What does it mean to receive an inheritance, especially one promised by God Himself? As we delve into the fourth scene of our journey, we find ourselves in the midst of an extraordinary moment in the book of Joshua. Chapters 12 through 19 bring to life the meticulous division of the Promised Land among the 12 tribes of Israel. This isn't just a simple division of territory. It's a fulfillment of God's covenant, His binding promise with His chosen people. Each tribe, from Judah and Ephraim to Dan and Zebulun, receives a specific portion of the land as per God's divine plan. This allocation isn't random. It's a calculated distribution, a reflection of God's providence and His sense of justice. Here, we see a testament to God's faithfulness, a powerful reminder that His promises never falter, that His word stands as firm as the walls of Jericho. This division of the Promised Land isn't just about physical territories. It's about spiritual inheritance, about the manifestation of God's promise to His people. God's faithfulness is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing demonstration of His love and commitment. Each tribe receives its inheritance, a tangible proof of God's promise, a testament to His unwavering faithfulness. This scene is a reminder that faith is not merely about believing in God's promises. It's about seeing them come to fruition, about witnessing God's faithfulness in action. And as each tribe steps onto its allotted land, we see a beautiful tapestry of God's faithfulness woven into the very soil of the Promised Land. Each plot of land, each river and mountain serves as a physical reminder of God's promise, a symbol of His unchanging love and faithfulness. God's promises are sure and steadfast, just as they were for the tribes of Israel. What promises are you holding on to today? As we reflect on this scene, let's remember that God's promises are not just for the tribes of Israel, but for all of us. They are timeless, transcending generations and cultures, reminding us of His unchanging love and faithfulness. Opening. How would you respond to the giants in your life? As we delve into chapter 14, we encounter Caleb, a man of unwavering faith, standing tall amidst the giants of his life. The giants here are not merely metaphorical, but literal giants inhabiting the land of Hebron, a land promised to Caleb as his inheritance. Caleb, one of the 12 spies sent by Moses to scout the Promised Land, had returned 40 years prior with a positive report, a stark contrast to the majority who saw only the challenges. Now, at the ripe age of 85, he stands firm in his faith, ready to claim his inheritance. Caleb's faith was not a fleeting moment of bravery, but a deeply rooted conviction that shaped his response to life's giants. He didn't deny the presence of the giants, nor did he underestimate their strength. Instead, he acknowledged them, but chose to focus on the size of his God, rather than the size of his giants. This is a profound lesson in faith and determination. Caleb did not waver in the face of adversity. He did not allow the giants to intimidate him or deter him from his path. Rather, he held on to God's promises, trusting that what God had promised, he was faithful to deliver. Caleb's story encourages us to face our own giants with unwavering faith. These giants may come in various forms: fears, doubts, challenges. Yet like Caleb, we are called to trust in God's promises, knowing that He who is in us is greater than any giant we might face. As we reflect on Caleb's unwavering faith, let's ask ourselves, are we allowing the giants of our life to dictate our actions? Or are we like Caleb, choosing to trust in God's promises, standing firm in our faith, even when the giants seem insurmountable? Closing. Caleb faced his giants with unwavering faith. How can we emulate his courage in our own lives? What would your last words be to those you lead? This is the question Joshua, the stalwart leader of the Israelites, grappled with as he prepared to bid farewell to his people. In the twilight of his life, Joshua delivered a stirring address that still reverberates through the corridors of time. A man of courage, a man of faith, Joshua had led his people through battles and conquests, through victories and defeats. Now, he stood before them, not as a warrior, but as a shepherd guiding his flock. His words were not of war, but of peace, not of conquest, but of faithfulness. In his address, Joshua urged the Israelites to remain true to the commandments of God. He implored them to hold fast to the faith they had professed, to the God they had pledged to serve. He reminded them of the blessings they had received, the miracles they had witnessed, the promises that had been fulfilled. But Joshua's address was more than a mere recollection of past events. It was a call to action, a plea for obedience. He cautioned the Israelites against the allure of foreign gods, against the temptation of straying from the path of righteousness. He warned them of the dire consequences of disobedience, of the perils of breaking the covenant with God. Joshua's words were not spoken out of fear, but out of love. His desire was for his people to experience the fullness of God's blessings, to live in the peace and prosperity that obedience brings. He wanted them to carry forward the legacy of faith, to be a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness. In his farewell, Joshua echoed the sentiments of every leader who's ever cared deeply for those they lead. His words were a testament to his unwavering faith, his unyielding devotion, his undying love for his people. Joshua's final words were a call to faithfulness. How will you respond to that call? How will you be remembered long after you're gone? This question brings us to the legacy of Joshua, a legacy that stretches far beyond his mortal life. Joshua's footprints are etched deep in the sands of time, his influence resonating throughout the generations of the Israelites, and, indeed, for all of us today. As the curtains close on Joshua's life, we find ourselves in the midst of a solemn assembly. The Israelites, fresh from their victories and the distribution of the promised land, gather together. There, they make a profound choice, one that echoes the heart of their departed leader. They renew their covenant with God, affirming their commitment to follow His ways. This pivotal moment is a testament to the faithfulness of God throughout history. It shows His unwavering commitment to His people, fulfilling His promises and guiding them towards a future of hope. It's a powerful reminder that God's promises are as steadfast today as they were in the days of Joshua. And what about Joshua? His leadership, marked by faith and obedience, leaves an indelible impact on the Israelites. His courage in battle, his wisdom in decision-making, and his unyielding faith in God's promises inspire the Israelites to remain faithful to God's commandments. Joshua's legacy is not just about the battles won or the lands conquered. It's about a heart that trusted God, a spirit that was willing to obey, and a life that was committed to serving God's purposes. His life is a testament to the power of faith and obedience, a testament that continues to inspire us today. As we reflect on Joshua's legacy, we're challenged to think about our own. What footprints are we leaving behind? How are we influencing those around us? Are we living lives of faith and obedience, just like Joshua? Joshua's legacy is one of faith and obedience. How will your story inspire those who come after you? How can we apply the lessons from Joshua's life to our own? As we reflect on the narrative of the book of Joshua, we've traveled through an epic saga of faith, courage, and divine intervention. Let's pause to consider the key events and lessons. We journeyed with Joshua as he led the Israelites into battle against the Amorite kings. What stood out was his unwavering faith, a testament to the power of divine intervention and a reminder that, even in our own battles, we can rely on a power greater than ourselves. We witnessed Joshua's continued conquest of Canaan. His leadership and determination in the face of adversity are lessons in perseverance. Like Joshua, we too can press on, claiming victory in the face of opposition. We observed the meticulous division of the Promised Land, reflecting God's providence and justice. This allocation teaches us about the importance of God's promises and His faithfulness. We can trust that God's promises to us are sure, just as they were for the Israelites. We shared in Caleb's remarkable faith as he claimed his inheritance in Hebron. Despite the giants in his path, Caleb remained steadfast. What can we learn from his unwavering faith and determination? Perhaps it's that faith is not the absence of obstacles, but the courage to face them head-on. And finally, we listened to Joshua's stirring farewell address, urging us to remain faithful to God's commandments. His words echo through the ages, emphasizing the importance of wholehearted devotion to the Almighty. In our lives today, we can heed Joshua's exhortations, striving to live in obedience to God's will. As we close this chapter, remember that the journey of faith continues. How will you respond to God's call in your life? As we journey through our own landscapes of faith, let's carry with us the lessons from Joshua's life, applying them to our own contexts. As Joshua led the Israelites, so too can we lead in our spheres of influence, guided by faith, fortified by courage, and anchored in God's promises.